Lake, Nevada, and I am working on a video. I'm filming it differently than the other course I did. So let's see, let's get you a little bit more there. This thingy right here is you hang in it, then you do crunches. That's what that thing right there is. Okay, so in the description, I have the link to AVMA, American Veterinary Medical Association's link for the QPR suicide prevention training. And when you go to it and you scroll down to the bottom, they have a registration code that you can copy and paste to go down, the little rabbit hole of creating your account and registering for this course. And I think it gives you a certificate. All right, so I'm going to start my Make Alaska video. I'll put that link in here eventually when I update the description. So that video will be better quality than this video, and you can be watching the course with me. Hello, Amanda with Make Alaska, and we are doing the American Veterinary Medical Association's QPR question, persuade, and what else does that stand for? Forgive me. Well, we'll find out, won't we? That's the whole point of doing the course.
This is QPR Institute Gatekeeper Training. How to use this training. Before we begin this course, please review the resources and controls. To view the table of contents and quickly navigate the course, click the 3 horizontal bars in the upper left of the presentation. To access more QPR resources, select Resources in the upper right. Help is available by clicking Need Help in the upper right. Click the Next button to review the course controls, then take the pre-survey. Navigating this training, use the following controls found along the bottom of the presentation. On the lower left side is the play and pause button. From left to right, the buttons on the lower right side are the replay button, volume, closed captions, and the previous and next buttons. You can also use the left and right arrows on your keyboard to go back to the previous slide and to go to the next slide. Revisiting a slide unlocks the seek bar. You will now be able to drag the seek bar to find specific points along the slide's timeline.
So I'm going to pause it. Oh, it hasn't started yet. Oh, it wants me to give all this information. Ooh. Ugh. All right, I might have to edit this video. So in the animal care sector, the suicide rate is very high. I don't know if people know that, but suicide amongst veterinarians, veterinary technicians, assistants, animal rescue, animal sanctuary, all that jazz. Hi, number 2 with fries. The suicide rate is really, really, really high. So when you're at your veterinarian's office, you might see a certificate on the wall that they have completed a course like this. There's a nonprofit called Not One More Vet, and you might see that certificate in your veterinarian's office. So yeah, I worked in a veterinarian clinic briefly. I managed an animal sanctuary. I quit because I had what's called compassion fatigue. Essentially, you go crazy. And I have had, I know people who've killed themselves in that sector. So I want to start a nonprofit for animals. And so this is one of the very first things I'm doing is to do this course, starting from the ground up, foundational, so that I can incorporate this kind of information, this kind of resources and awareness to prevent it in myself and prevent it with people who I work with. The animal world attracts a lot of mentally ill people, and that's just common knowledge. And along with that goes, well, what we're doing. So, how you doing today? Hope all is good on your neck of the woods. It is. It is. Okay, so here we go. It's asking me for my age. Ooh, I don't want to admit that. Okay. And then now I press play. Oh, I'm definitely editing this out of my other video. I'm making a video for Make Alaska. The link is in the description box. You can do this course yourself, and then I think that you get a certificate. Hello, Maddie. Hi. It's asking all kinds of stuff like, what's your race? What's your gender? What grade have you completed? Pre-training survey. How would you rate your knowledge of suicide in the following areas? Facts concerning suicide prevention. I don't know anything about it. Warning signs of suicide. Somewhat low. How to ask someone about suicide. I'll put low because I'm a very blunt person. If I had a quarter for every time somebody said to me, you know, when I met you, I thought you were a total bitch, but now that I know you, I love you so much and you're not. And it's like, yeah, I know, I'm just really, really blunt. I don't like small talk. I don't like beating around the bush. I can't stand it when somebody tries to like wishy-washy talk around me. It's like, no, get to the point. Just get to the point. Persuading someone to get help, somewhat low because I'm bossy and I'm always telling people what to do. How to get help for someone, somewhat low. I mean, it's why I'm taking this course. How would you rate your knowledge of suicide in the following areas? Understanding of suicide and suicide prevention, I'd say somewhat low. Likelihood you will ask someone who appears to be at risk if they are thinking of suicide, high. I had a friend where I contacted his ex-girlfriend in order to get the phone number of his parents to call his parents because he had told me something. I'm like, yeah, I will totally confront. Appropriateness of asking someone who may be at risk about suicide, low, because again, I'm really blunt. Information about resources for help with suicide, low, because we all have Google. Please read each statement and rate the degree to which you agree or disagree. If someone told me they were thinking of suicide, I would intervene. Strongly agree. Yeah, I'd get their butt committed. If a person's words and or behavior suggest the possibility of suicide, I would ask the person directly if they're thinking about it. Hi. Oh, I just saw a little critter in my backyard. If someone I knew was showing signs of suicide, I would directly, oh, it's a mockingbird. Hi, baby. I would directly raise the question of suicide with them. Yep, I'm blunt. I'm nosy. I'm rude. I would totally just go for it. Please read each statement and rate the degree to which you agree or disagree. I don't feel competent to help a person at risk. Yeah, I strongly agree. I'm not competent. I don't think I can prevent someone. Medium, because, call authorities. I feel confident in my ability to help someone. I'll put disagree. So not strongly, but just somewhat. And save. Okay, survey completed. Complete. Thank you for completing this survey. Oh, you're welcome. Moving on to the next.
Disclaimer. We will be discussing a sensitive and difficult topic. This may affect you negatively, so please make sure to prioritize your well-being by stepping away to take a break as needed. If at any point of this training you feel disturbed, please remember you can reach out to people who can help by calling or texting 988. Alternatively, you can also use their online chat services at 988lifeline.org/chat.
Most people know very little about suicide. Even fewer of us know what to do when someone we care about begins to contemplate suicide. Hope begins with you. QPR stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer. Learn the technique behind this acronym by completing the Gatekeeper training course.
Link is in the description if you want to take the course. All right, then they want you to watch a video called About Suicide.
It may be hard to imagine, but according to the World Health Organization, over 800,000 people die each year by suicide. That is more people than are killed in all the wars and homicides combined. Of these deaths each year, more than 40,000 are Americans. That is one death by suicide every 13 minutes. Suicide affects every region of the world and
Yes,
is the
you can
third
sub.
highest cause of death for people aged 15 to 44. And for every life lost, another 25 people will attempt suicide, often causing serious medical injury or lifelong disability. Today, the greatest loss of life is among working-aged men, 35 to 65 years old. Men of all races and ethnicities are at higher risk.
That would fit the demographic of someone I know that it happened to this year. What did they say, 45? I think he was older than 45.
And from the very young to the very old, millions of Americans think seriously about suicide for days, weeks, and even years. Thinking seriously about suicide is itself a kind of misery index, a sign that something is terribly wrong and needs attention. Most often, what needs attention and treatment is clinical depression, a medical condition that is now the leading cause of disability in the world. In America alone, there are an estimated 15 million sufferers. Most of us are touched by suicide. Some of us have lost family members, loved ones, friends, schoolmates, or colleagues. None of us escapes the loss of people we admire and respect, whether they are people we know or are much-loved musicians, artists, and entertainers. If you have lost someone close to you to suicide, then you already know the considerable cost, the tears and awful pain of loss. And if you are one of the millions who have thought seriously about suicide, then you already know just how lonely and terrible it is to suffer alone. Depression, anxiety, substance abuse, bipolar, and thought disorders like schizophrenia all contribute great risk for suicidality. Yet most people suffering from a mental illness do not kill themselves. They get help, they find a way, and they recover to live full and productive lives. And if recovery is possible, that means suicide is preventable. Thankfully, the world is changing. We understand mental illness. We understand suicide. And we know that treatment saves lives. Right now, our teachers don't teach us about depression and suicide. And our faith leaders often struggle to talk openly about these topics. Too often, doctors can't talk to their patients about suicide, even patients who are sitting in their offices planning how to end their lives, perhaps by overdosing on the medication being prescribed to them. The world remains dangerously ignorant about suicide. So to save lives, we must bring this subject out of the shadows. Effective treatment would save thousands of lives around the world. But we must learn to talk comfortably about suicide. And we need your help to start the conversation. Join us in this fight, a fight to save lives. Preventing suicide. It's what people do.
That was thoroughly depressing. Ugh. All right. Okay,
We
moving on.
believe education and training are critical to the safety of the people in our communities who may be considering suicide. Please take this training program seriously. Just as people who know CPR don't need to be medical professionals to save lives, those who learn QPR, question, persuade, refer, need not be psychiatrists, psychologists, or social workers to help save lives. This training program provides you with basic information about suicide, some warning signs of suicide, examples of how people communicate their suicidal thoughts and feelings. In this training, you will learn how to question a person considering suicide, persuade the person to seek help, and refer the person to someone who can help. Suicide is the forever decision. At the end of this program, you will find a free ebook by Dr. Paul Quinnett. This best-selling book is yours to read and share with others. You may download it, print it, copy it, and give it to anyone who may need it. We will also provide you a way to email others about this program or the free book. To complete the course, you'll need to pass the quiz at the end. Once the course shows is completed, you'll be able to print a hard copy certificate of course completion as a QPR gatekeeper. Need help? Are you or someone you know at risk? Crisis lines are an important first step for those in distress, those considering suicide, and for those who are worried about others having these experiences. Trained staff are available, often around the clock, to listen, assess, and suggest next steps. 988 is a direct connection to accessible care and support for anyone experiencing mental health-related distress, whether it is thoughts of suicide, mental or behavioral health concerns, substance use crisis, or any other kind of emotional distress. Remember, people can also dial 988 seeking assistance if they're worried about a loved one in crisis. Dial or text 988 or use online chat services. To take a depression screening, use this link. If you've had a personal experience with suicide, you may want to read the linked document before continuing. That document is Personal Experience with Suicide.
Meaning you know someone, someone's. Click to take a depression. Okay, let's take a link. Sure, let's do the depression test. Okay, so if you take this course and you take this link, this is the Mental Health America website. Oh, hi, number 2 with fries. Hello. Good luck with your live stream. I'm going to be doing this. I don't know how long that takes. Okay, so depression test. Over the last 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by any of the following problems? Please note, all fields required. Little interest or pleasure in doing things. Not at all. I've had a really good month. September has been a really good month. Hello. Let's just say I'm in my 40s and I do not miss being in my teens, 20s, or 30s. I am better now than I ever was in my younger days. So if I would have answered this, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, totally different answers. But these days, much, much, much better. I highly recommend being totally sober. I recommend Jesus. I recommend exercising and eating healthy and getting good sleep. And I recommend listening to like motivational speakers and having goals and all that jazz. And also avoiding people. Avoid people. Pick a favorite one, hang out with them, avoid the rest. Feeling down, depressed, or hopeless. Not at all. Not right now. Trouble falling or staying asleep. No. I highly recommend earplugs, eye mask, and like a fan. You will sleep really deep. And don't have sugar or alcohol before bed. It'll make you sleep like crap. Feeling tired or having little energy several days. But that's called perimenopause, honey. That's called perimenopause. You young chicks don't know anything about that. Poor appetite or overeating. Not at all. I used to have issues with binge eating when I was younger. Feeling bad about yourself or that you are a failure or have let yourself or your family down. Not at all. I got over those thoughts a long time ago. Trouble when you're the black sheep, you got to confront that. Learn to embrace it. Rock that black sheep self. Trouble concentrating on things such as reading the newspaper or watching television. I do neither of those. Not at all. Moving or speaking so slowly that other people could have noticed, or the opposite, being so fidgety or restless that you have been moving around a lot more than usual. Not at all. Thoughts that you would be better off dead or of hurting yourself. Not at all. If you checked off any problems, how difficult have these problems made it for you at work, home, or with other people? Not difficult at all. I don't really hang out with anybody besides my husband and my pets. And he's used to my stuff, so. Please, optional questions. No. Let's just view results. Oh, it says I have minimal depression. Yeah. All right. I'll take that. Yeah. All right. So I'm sorry if I'm being flippant. I'm one of those people who love dark comedians. Have you ever heard of Bill Hicks? Yeah, like Bill Hicks. You just gotta have humor. You gotta have humor in life. Life is really dark, and some people don't like to be serious. They like to be flippant about it. We all different winds for different sails. Okay, if you've had a personal experience with suicide, you may want to read the following document before continuing. Personal experience with suicide. I'll also say that people I know who are first responders, or like someone I know who does heart surgery, they say that they're all very flippant, very dark humor, and it's how they have to cope. Okay, we can read this. Touched by suicide or lived experience. Because suicidal behavior is not rare among human beings, it is possible that you personally may have seriously considered suicide at some time in your life, or perhaps even made a suicide attempt. You may very well have known someone who died by suicide. If you've considered suicide in the past or even now, we're glad you're alive. You are in good company. Many of our greatest contributors to society experienced at one time or another a serious suicidal crisis, yet survived. There's a link to high IQ and depression, that's for sure. The list includes famous authors, painters, musicians, comedians, the Robin Williams, bless his heart, the inventor Buckminster Fuller, the author William Styron, and President Abraham Lincoln. You can just look at his photos. He looks pretty depressed, to name only a few. I mean, the era he was in was quite depressing. Having survived a suicide crisis can teach important lessons you may have the opportunity to share with others. If you have had personal experience as a suicide survivor, lost a friend, loved one, or family member to suicide, some portions of this training program may be upsetting to you. Not if you take your feelings and you shove them down, deep, 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 deep down. I'm quoting, Bill Burr, right? That comedian, bald dude. He has a whole shtick about that. If it is, we encourage you to discuss the matter with a family member, a close friend, a therapist, a rabbi, priest or pastor, or a close personal advisor. Don't talk to your barista. Talking about your experience with suicide can be helpful. You may also choose to not take this training at all, or to take a break from time to time as you proceed. The first order of business is to see to your own emotional needs. We all wish to acknowledge all of those touched by suicide and to let you know that we are sensitive to your needs and situation. We hope to support your brave efforts to help others avoid the pain you have experienced. If you are recently bereaved by suicide, it may be too soon to learn to take this training. Only you can decide when the time is right. I wanted to do it because I saw a video by the guy. I don't know if he was the boyfriend or husband of the woman who ran Save a Fox. Uh, that's a nonprofit saving foxes, and I believe they were a two-person team. Uh, she killed herself earlier this year, and there was another nonprofit animal rescue influencer who also killed themselves. I believe another female, and I'm drawing a blank right now as to who that was. Someone else who had a really large platform. But, ugh, the guy, the husband or boyfriend of the Save a Fox lady, he just put a video out where it's a poem. Ooh, I wasn't joking and laughing then, I'll tell you that. That was so sad. And I've been wanting to do this course. I've been wanting to do it, and I decided it was time to do it because people in the animal sector have a really high rate of doing this. Um, People, it's funny, when I was running an animal sanctuary, I just saw a friend of mine who worked for an animal rescue someplace. I want to be vague, for 2 years, and that person was in town. We were hanging out at the place where my friend killed themselves, and talking about it, and talking about how the last time I had seen them was at a special event, and all of their friends, when they were talking to me, would be like, "Oh, you do that? That sounds so fun." And I was like, "No, actually, it's really, really, really miserable. You see the worst of humanity, and it makes you misanthropic and just hate people." And uh, and then yet on the flip side of it, in the animal world, and this is what was happening to that woman with Save a Fox, you just get scrutinized, completely scrutinized by other so-called animal lovers. That's why, like, I avoid hanging out with other people who work in the animal sector. Some of them are great, and some of them will push you off the edge. They will happily kick you off the edge because I told you the animal sector attracts a lot of people not right in the noggin, and they have a lot of anger, and they direct it towards other people, and ugh, it's not a good environment. And when you work at an animal hospital or clinic or whatnot, those vets and vet techs and stuff, they see a lot of dark things. I remember when I got training about how when an animal comes in with a broken bone, you need to kind of profile who the parent is, the pet owner, because they could be a drug addict who did that on purpose so that they could get those pain meds, right? And I know when I tell that to people, they're like, "I never even thought of that." And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot that you don't think about. And then people who work in those environments see it every day, all the time. And, and then dealing with crazy people who give them 1-star reviews because they won't give them free uh, pet care, yet they have massive debt they need to pay off. They have corporate owners of their vet clinic. They can't give things away for free. And so it just starts to wear them down, starts to grind them down. I mean, the reasons are countless. Anyways, moving on. If you are concerned about your emotional capacity for proceeding, I'm good. I'm good. You just shove it down, deep, 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 deep down, per therapist Bill Burr. With this training for any reason, again, please seek help from someone you trust. Remember that knowledgeable, caring, and trained people are but a phone call away or a text away. Dial 988 for immediate help, local resources, and consultation for yourself or someone you know. I'm seeing a lot of chats in different languages. Hello, people. Only other language I know is Spanish. All services are private and confidential. If you have recently suffered the loss of a family member or loved one to suicide, please consider support for yourself. For resource information on surviving a death by suicide, again, dial 988 to find more information and organizations that can help. All right. So moving on. Did I click too many? No, I didn't. Here we go. Introduction to QPR. Here we go, another video.
Research shows that the odds of surviving a heart attack in a public place are 10 times greater in regions where thousands of ordinary citizens are trained in CPR. It's called bystander rescue. When someone shows signs of experiencing cardiac arrest, the response of nearby friends, family, or coworkers is critical. The effective use of CPR doubles or triples one's chances of surviving a heart attack. Like CPR, QPR is an emergency intervention for someone experiencing a life-threatening crisis. QPR is easy to learn and easy to remember, but it takes courage to overcome our fears about reaching out to help someone who may be considering suicide. Research also shows that where QPR is widely taught, suicide attempts and deaths decrease. Just like CPR, QPR requires quick, bold, and informed action. Because suicide, like heart attacks, remains a rare event, we must train hundreds to save one, thousands to save hundreds, and millions to save thousands. There is an old Welsh saying, "No great misery goes unspoken." When we have a toothache, we tell people. We don't hide our pain. But because of the stigma and taboo around the word suicide, many people considering suicide don't speak plainly about their suffering. They fear our rejection. They fear that if they say something, we will ridicule them or make fun of them. As a result, people thinking about suicide often use indirect language. They hint at what they're thinking of doing. They send us coded messages, and they suffer in silence. Called suicide warning signs, QPR training teaches you how to recognize these warning signs, quickly decode them, and then question the person in an informed and compassionate manner to learn if they are considering suicide. Just as talking about physical pain helps diminish it, talking about suicide with someone willing and able to listen reduces psychological pain almost immediately. Trained QPR gatekeepers are merchants of hope, and hope helps prevent suicide. Millions of people have now been trained in QPR. Rigorous independent research studies support QPR as effective, and thousands of personal stories assure us that QPR is saving lives. When you use QPR, not everyone will be suicidal. Some people are simply stressed to the breaking point, but they still need help. Help you can give. Please note that you cannot put the idea of suicide into someone's mind. People are either thinking about suicide or they're not. The fear of putting the idea of suicide into someone's head is a myth that keeps us from acting when we should do just the opposite. QPR is a universal intervention for people in pain, whether they're thinking about suicide or not. While it takes a special courage to overcome our fears, we will teach you how to ask about suicide and to offer hope through listening. Listening is the power tool that restores hope in the hopeless. We know you can do this, and we will show you how. Preventing suicide. It's what people do.
I would say people greatly, greatly underestimate that when people feel alone and misunderstood, it's really hard to break through that barrier. They really just have convinced themselves that nobody understands. They've gotten to that point of isolation.
Learn QPR. In this section, you will learn myths and facts about suicide, some warning signs of suicide, how to apply QPR, how to offer hope and support.
Okay.
Note: for this section of the course, the left and right buttons on your keyboard have been disabled. This is to encourage you to focus on the message on each slide.
Oh, okay.
Hello, my name is Paul Quinnett. I'm a clinical psychologist and the author of QPR, a suicide prevention training program. What I'm about to teach you in the next few minutes could help save a life. You are about to become a QPR gatekeeper. QPR is a way to talk with and intervene with someone who may be suicidal. I know that some of you taking this training have lost a loved one or even a blood relative to suicide. I am sensitive to your loss, and I'm sorry for it. During this training, you may become upset or feel that you could have done something to have saved someone you knew. I want to remind you of one thing. We are only responsible to do something that we know how to do when it needs to be done. This training is new. No one has had it before. So we shouldn't feel guilty for something we didn't know how to do. QPR stands for question, persuade, and refer. It's 3 simple things we can all learn to do. QPR is not intended to be a form of counseling or treatment, but QPR is intended to offer hope through positive action. There are many myths about suicide that are not true. It is important that we understand the facts. Here are some of these myths. 1, no one can stop a suicide. It's inevitable. The fact is that if people in a crisis get the help they need, they will probably never be suicidal again. Most of us, if we have a crisis of suicide, pass through it and go on to live full and productive lives. Another dangerous myth. Confronting a person about suicide will only make them angry and increase the risk of suicide. Fact. Asking someone directly about suicidal intent lowers anxiety, opens up communication, and lowers the risk of an impulsive act. Another dangerous myth. Only experts can prevent suicide. Fact. Suicide prevention is everybody's business, and anyone can help prevent the tragedy of suicide.
So there's this thing called the tone scale for emotions, and you have positive emotions at the top, and you have negative emotions down here, and the bottom is death, like a little skull, crossbones. And when people get down to the point of death, that low, they are in, definitely, I want to say down there, it's apathy. Apathy. And anger is a little bit higher. I'm not sure what's in between the two. I don't have the scale in front of me, but anger is higher than apathy. And so it's actually a good thing if you can get somebody to be angry. So if you're afraid that you're going to anger them, although it says that it doesn't, but if that's what your fear is, you shouldn't fear that, because if you can bump them up the tone scale to anger, that gets them away from the danger zone down here. So that's just my own little thing.
Here are some more myths and facts. Myth. Suicidal people keep their plans to themselves. Fact. Most suicidal people communicate their intent sometime during the week preceding their attempt. Myth. Those who talk about suicide don't do it. The fact is, people who talk about suicide may attempt and even die by suicide. One more myth. Once a person decides to die by suicide, there is nothing anyone can do to stop them. The fact is that suicide is the most preventable kind of death, and almost any positive action may save a life.
I'm sure you've heard of stories, whether it's, can't think of any specific right now, but I know I've heard stories of people who say that they were thinking of killing themselves and then something happens and the other person had no idea that just that simple thing, that simple giving them a cupcake, whatever it was, and that totally changed the course of what they were planning on doing.
Choose one of these 3 answers. Asking someone if they are suicidal, 1, may increase suicide risk, 2, may decrease suicide risk, 3, does not affect suicide risk.
Decrease. That's correct.
Most suicidal people keep their plans to themselves.
False.
True or false?
False. So if there's someone you know who's been really depressed and they've been giving lots of warning signs and whatnot, something that I've heard to watch out for is that they start giving away all of their stuff. They're like, oh, I've always wanted you to have this piece of jewelry, right? And then there's this often like this euphoria, happy moment, like day that they're going to have beforehand because they've unburdened themselves, they have their plans, they're kind of excited. And so that's also something to where don't just assume, oh wow, they seem to be doing really well today, but think about what were they doing in the previous week or two. If they were giving away all of their heirlooms and stuff, that's kind of a red flag. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert.
You may ask, how can I help? Answer, ask the question. Before I teach you how to ask the question, you need to know what the warning signs of suicide are. The more clues and warning signs observed, the greater the risk may be. So take all signs seriously.
Yeah.
Here are some direct verbal clues to suicide. These were made by people who actually went on to end their lives by suicide. I've decided to kill myself. I wish I were dead. I'm going to commit suicide. I'm going to end it all. If such and such doesn't happen, I'll kill myself. In this last example, the such and such may be if I don't pass this course, if she leaves me, if they fire me from my job. We call this a contingent suicide plan, and it can be very dangerous. Here are some more clues. Sometimes people are less clear in how they state their intent. For example, I'm tired of life. I just can't go on. May be a clue to suicide. My family would be better off without me. This is a statement often made by younger people and older people who feel that they may be a burden to their families. Who cares if I'm dead anyway? I just want out. I won't be around much longer. Pretty soon you won't have to worry about me.
The one about who cares if I'm dead anyway. I want to put the link. I gotta make a little note. To the video that the partner of the woman for Save a Fox made. He reads this poem, and yeah, I would have somebody watch that if they say something like, who cares if I'm dead anyway, or my family would be better off without me.
Sometimes people engage in behaviors that suggest they may be planning to make a suicide attempt. Any past suicide attempt may indicate the risk for a future suicide attempt. Someone who's acquiring a gun or stockpiling pills. The presence of depression, moodiness, hopelessness, or especially in young people, irritability and anger. These may not necessarily be signs of a pending suicide attempt, but they do suggest a need for evaluation and perhaps counseling or treatment. Sometimes when people are preparing to end their lives, they begin to put their personal affairs in order, writing a will, finishing certain tasks, saying goodbye to people. Another frequent warning sign of suicide is giving away prized possessions, as if we won't need them where we're going. Anytime someone shows a sudden interest or disinterest in religion may indicate that something serious is going on and that they may be contemplating suicide. For someone who's never shown an interest in religion or in God, A sudden interest in religion may mean that they are preparing to meet their Maker. A sudden disinterest in religion may also mean that the person is trying to leave his or her community of faith in order to make a suicide attempt. We strongly encourage clergy to outreach persons who may have come into conflict with their church or their religion and who have left their community of faith. Drug and alcohol abuse are risk factors for suicide. A great many people who die by suicide are intoxicated at the time of their death. Any kind of heavy or unusual drinking may indicate the person is in serious trouble and needs help. A relapse after a period of recovery for someone who has been an alcoholic or a substance abuser is also a very dangerous time. Such persons may need to be asked about suicide risk or whether they're thinking about ending their life. Lastly, any kind of unexplained anger, aggression, or irritability may indicate the person is in need of help as well. There are also what we call situational clues, circumstances in which a person feels they cannot escape. These include being fired or being expelled from school. Sometimes a recent unwanted move will trigger a suicide crisis. A young person being asked to move to a new city with his or her family. An older person faced with moving into a nursing home. Any loss of a major relationship may set the stage for a crisis of suicide. The death of a spouse, a child, or a best friend, especially if by suicide, raises the risk for suicidal thinking and maybe even a suicide attempt. The diagnosis of a serious or terminal illness may cause someone who is vulnerable to think about suicide and may trigger a suicidal crisis. The sudden unexpected loss of freedom, for example, being faced with a jail term, or the fear of punishment may trigger thoughts of suicide in someone, again, who's vulnerable. The anticipated loss of financial security can cause some people to enter into a crisis of suicide about whether to live or die. The loss of a cherished therapist, a counselor, or teacher may also be a crisis point for many, many people. Lastly, the fear of becoming a burden to others is also a situational clue to a potential suicide crisis. I need to remind you that it is primarily untreated depression that makes people vulnerable to these kinds of crises.
Yeah,
All suicide warning signs should be taken seriously,
true,
or false.
true.
Losing a loved one, especially if by suicide, raises the risk of suicidal thinking and maybe even a suicide attempt. True or false? Rock climbing and skydiving are behavioral clues that someone might be thinking of suicide. True or false?
Well, they didn't say anything about that. No. I mean, some extreme sports seem like people have a death wish, but they didn't say anything about that. That's correct.
Before we teach you how to ask someone about suicide, here are some tips for asking the suicide question. If in doubt, don't wait. Ask the question now. If the person is reluctant to get help or to talk about suicide, be persistent. When you talk to someone about suicide, get them alone in some private setting where you won't be disturbed. And once you do ask them about suicide, allow the person to talk freely and don't interrupt them. Give yourself plenty of time for this conversation. Listening can save a life. Have your resources handy. You have a QPR card, a booklet, phone numbers, perhaps a counselor's name, a pastor's name, a rabbi's name, someone who can be of assistance, and have all this information ready to go when you have this conversation. Remember, how you ask the question is less important than that you ask it.
Yeah, the part about don't interrupt. When people are super depressed and at this point, at this stage, they feel very, very alone. They feel very misunderstood and possibly unheard. And if they do try to talk about it and somebody interrupts them, that And if the person has ADHD, that enrages them. That interruptions really enrage people with certain kinds of neurodivergence. That really just reinforces for them that, yep, I'm right. Nobody listens, nobody understands, I'm not heard, I'm not understood. So you just gotta zip it. Zip it. Shh. Kind of like Austin Powers, the whole shh, 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 right? If you don't know how to ask, I just some ways I like to be asked by people if I'm okay is when I lived in England briefly, they'd say, "You all right, love? You all right? You all right, love?" Right? In more of an American way, kind of like a bro way that somebody asks you, is they go, "You good? You good?" Right? Um, there's this concept of pre-thinking about and pre-rehearsing in your head certain scenarios and coming up with things that you would say and just trust that your subconscious, when those scenarios come up, your little mental filing cabinet will find it and pull it out, and because you pre-thought about it, you'll know what to say. So like if you don't know what to say, you could go, "You all right, love?" Or you could go, "You good?" Right? Just to start the conversation, just to poke
Here are
them.
some approaches to asking someone about suicide. We call this the less direct approach. Have you been unhappy lately? Have you been very unhappy lately? Have you been so very unhappy lately that you've been thinking about ending your life? If you get a yes to that question, you may have helped save a life. Here's another example. Do you ever wish you could go to sleep and never wake up? This is what we call a passive suicidal wish. The person doesn't want to hurt themselves so much as they simply want to stop living. Going to sleep and not waking up would be one way to do that. A more direct approach is as follows. You know, when people are as upset as you seem to be, they sometimes wish they were dead. I'm wondering if you're feeling that way too. You look pretty miserable. I wonder if you're thinking about suicide. And much more direct, and this often works best with young men and boys and older men. Are you thinking about killing yourself? Note, if you can't ask this question, find someone who can.
Jeez. I thought I was really direct. Maybe I'm not as direct as I thought I was, because
Here are some approaches
these ones,
to asking someone about suicide.
less direct.
We call this the less direct approach. Have you been unhappy lately? Have you been very unhappy lately? Have you been so very unhappy lately that you've been thinking about ending your life? If you get a yes to that question, you may have helped save a life. Here's another example. Do you ever wish you could go to sleep and never wake up? This is what we call a passive suicidal wish. The person doesn't want to hurt themselves so much as they simply want to stop living. Going to sleep and not waking up would be one way to do that.
See, I thought those were all actually quite direct. I mean, yeah. Just asking somebody, "Have you been unhappy lately?" I mean, I thought that was quite direct, but then these ones, these are really
A
direct.
more direct approach is as follows. You know, when people are as upset as you seem to be, they sometimes wish they were dead. I'm wondering if you're feeling that way too. You look pretty miserable. I wonder if you're thinking about suicide. And much more direct, and this often works best with young men and boys and older men. Are you thinking about killing yourself? Note, if you can't ask this question, find someone who can.
Those are quite
Now,
direct.
this is an important lesson. There is one way you do not want to ask this question, and that is as follows. You're not thinking of killing yourself, are you?
Mm-hmm.
The reason this doesn't work is that you're telling the person, please tell me you're not suicidal, even though I'm afraid you are. So whatever you do, don't tell the person that you don't want to know. Always make the question one that allows them to answer it in a positive fashion. Your QPR booklet that comes with this training has many more examples of questions about suicide that you can learn to ask. If none of these work for you, find your own and practice with a friend. You'll find they work very, very well.
He didn't say it, but also, you wouldn't do anything stupid, would you? Suicide is a dumb idea. Surely you're not thinking about suicide. These are ways not to ask.
Now, how do we persuade someone to get help? Many suicidal people have lost hope that there is any help, and therefore it's incumbent upon you, their friend or family member, to get them to someone who can be of assistance. The first step in persuading someone is to listen to the problem and give them your full attention. Remember, suicide is not the problem, only the solution to a perceived insoluble problem. People die by their own hand to solve problems. If we can help them solve those problems, they don't need to die. It's important that you not rush to judgment when you hear someone talk about their plans to end their own lives. Passing judgment stops conversation. And offer hope in any form that works for you and for that person. I can't tell you what that hope is, but hope saves lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then ask, will you go with me to get help? And if the person says yes, take them to the resources we've made available to you. Will you let me get you help? Sometimes people see themselves as utterly helpless. Hopelessness and helplessness go together. So sometimes you need to make the effort. You need to pick up the phone or get them in your car and take them to someone who can help. Another thing you can do is to ask the person simply this: will you promise me not to kill yourself until we've found some help? And for most people, most of the time, the answer to that question will be yes. Your willingness to listen and to help can rekindle hope and make all the difference.
That's nice. Yeah.
Suicidal people often believe they cannot be helped, so you may have to do more. How do we refer someone for help? In this training, we have provided you with many resources. If you are not certain about how to proceed, call your national or local crisis line and get a consultation. Find someone to talk to there. Staff and volunteers are waiting for your call, and it's free and confidential. The referral part of this training is very, very important. The best referral involves taking the person to a professional or to an agency that can help. The next best referral is to get someone to make a commitment to stay alive and accept help at some time in the future. Anytime you can get that commitment is a good thing. It's a good outcome. The third best referral is to give the referral information and get a good faith commitment from the person not to attempt suicide. You want them to live, and any willingness to accept any help, even if in the future, is a good outcome.
When talking with someone about their thoughts of suicide, be sure to challenge and judge their thinking and feelings. True or false?
False. It says correct. Close your mouth and open your ears. Do not pass
This
judgment.
is a good example of how to ask the question, you're not thinking of killing yourself, are you?
No,
True or false?
that's not.
The first step in persuading someone to seek help is simply listening to their problems. True or false?
True.
Remember, since almost all efforts to persuade someone to live instead of attempt suicide will be met with agreement and relief, don't hesitate to get involved or take the lead. For effective QPR, say, I want you to live. I'm on your side. We'll get through this. These words cut through the isolation and desolation and hopelessness of the suicidal person, and they will often help that person to rekindle their desire to live.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do is get others involved. Ask the person who's in the suicidal crisis who might help. Is there a family member who needs to know how much pain they're in? Are there friends that can be called, that can come and be of assistance? Are there brothers, sisters, pastors, a priest, a rabbi, a bishop, a physician? Many times the person in a suicidal crisis does not remember who their friends and loved ones are and how much they're cherished. Simply getting these other people involved and building a safety net around the suicidal person can help save a life. You can also join a team. You can offer to work with the clergyman or woman, the therapist, the psychiatrist, or whomever is going to provide the counseling and treatment. Follow up with a visit, a phone call, or a card, and in whatever way feels comfortable to you, let the person know you care about what happens to them. Caring may save a life as well.
Remember, when you apply QPR, you plant the seeds of hope, and hope helps prevent suicide. One last thing, this training often generates many more questions than it can answer. We have provided you with a booklet about suicide, its warning signs, how to ask the question, things you need to know about depression, substance abuse, and the law. After you have read this booklet, and if you have additional questions, please refer to the resources provided on the course wrap-up page. We've provided websites that can answer even more of your questions. Thank you for taking QPR Gatekeeper training. Thank you for caring. Together, we can make a difference.
Gatekeeper practice session. Let's practice QPR with a member of the family.
You have heard stories about your uncle for years. He is a colorful character and known for his risk-taking and storytelling. You know him well and have always been close. Because he is your father's youngest brother, he is only a few years older. You're 22 years old, and he just turned 28. For the last several months you've been hearing that your uncle has been going through some rough times. His relationship of many years broke up. A job he had excelled in ended when the company failed, and he has been out of work for several months. Older family members have expressed concerns that he may be depressed. Some say he is drinking much more than usual. When they call him, he either doesn't answer the phone or sounds like he might be drunk, slurring his words and not making much sense. He usually likes to talk and tell stories, but lately he ends the call quickly. On Saturday there is a family barbecue. He is supposed to be there.
Here are the options. Option 1.
Barbecue day.
All right, that's the only thing on the screen, so I'll click
The
that.
party has been going on about an hour when your uncle shows up. He is by himself and from a distance he seems fine. As he comes up to you, he smiles and gives you a big hug. The hug is unusually strong, like a big bear hug. He says, "How's my favorite relative? You're all grown up now." You say you are doing fine and notice the alcohol on his breath. He doesn't seem to be drunk, but you are pretty sure he's been drinking. You fill in a few details about your life and then say,
Here are the options. Option 1.
"How is it going with you?
Option 2.
Did you find a job?
Option 3.
I've heard things have been tough lately."
Okay, so I would usually just answer, how's it going with you? But because of the way this course is, I feel like they want me to ask, I've heard things have been tough lately. I feel like that's what they want me to ask, so I'm going to say that.
Your uncle grins and says, "Well, you've been misinformed. Things are all under control. People sometimes draw conclusions based on too little information." You say,
Here are the options. Option 1.
"Sorry, I was just checking."
Option 2.
You'll tell me if you need help, right?
Option 3.
I'm here if you need me.
I'll say, I'm here if you need me.
Your uncle just denied he is having any problems and says, "Don't worry about me, kid. When the going gets tough, the tough get going." He gives you another big hug and then moves off to talk to someone else.
Here are the options. Option 1.
Go back so I can make a different choice.
Okay, go
The
back.
party has been going on about an hour when your uncle shows up.
Okay, so I'm going to
He
ask
is by
him,
himself
how
and
is
from
it going with
Good
you?
open-ended question. Your
Oh.
uncle will share if he chooses to. He laughs and says, "Things are just dandy. A few more months like this and I'll be sleeping in my car." You don't know much about his finances, but he was never rich. You suggest the two of you sit on a bench away from rest of the family to get a little privacy. Then, you say,
Here are the options. Option 1.
don't talk like that, nobody's going homeless in this family.
Option 2.
Come on, you're joking.
Option 3.
Can you fill me in a bit?
I'll
Your
say,
uncle
"Can you fill
smiles
me
and
in a bit?"
says, I didn't exactly find a new job, but I found a solution to the job problem. He then stands up and says, you've been a great kid. Good luck on your journey. Wish me luck on mine. Then he embraces you with a hug that is stronger than the last one. He seems reluctant to let go. He says, this is goodbye. You
Here are the options. Option 1.
hug him back and say goodbye.
Option 2.
Say, please sit with me a while as you pull him back down to the bench.
Option 3.
Hug him back and ask him to wait while you find someone he might listen to.
Please sit with me a while as you pull him back down to the bench.
Your uncle sits back down with you. You notice the tears in his eyes. You say, I'm worried about you and I want to help if I can. He says, I'm beyond help. You have no idea. You say,
Here are the options. Option 1.
I can try, why don't you talk while I listen?
Option 2.
I may not be able to help, but you could see a therapist.
Option 3.
You sound depressed, have you tried any medication?
Option 4.
No one is beyond help.
I can try. Why don't you talk while I listen?
Good opening move. Smiley face. Your uncle likes to talk, so you are inviting him to do something he has done his whole life. You may be younger than him, a different gender, and not all that much alike, but he likes you and, of anyone in the family, you may be the only one he will share his problems with. He says, well, just so you know, I'm about done. Nothing has gone right for more than a year now. I'm cleaning up the last details and then wrapping things up so I can go home. You say,
Here are the options. Option 1.
did you find a new place to move to?
Option 2.
By home do you mean death? Have you been thinking about suicide?
Option 3.
What details need cleaning up?
By home, do you mean death? Have you been thinking about suicide?
That's right. When asked the S question, your uncle nods and says, yes. I can't see any other way out of this. I came here to say goodbye to everyone. Fortunately, your uncle tried to say his final goodbye to you. With your training, you have recognized the multiple indirect suicide warning signs he is emitting, hinting at ending his own life. You understand the context of his life right now. Things are in a downward spiral of negative life events, each one adding one loss on top of another. These losses, setbacks, and stressors have been building for a long time, triggering a probable depression, even though he is able to mask his feelings quite well. His recent drinking is adding serious risk to his situation. Let him know you are there to help. It isn't always easy, but it works. Staring at the ground, he says, there is no other way out. Not for me.
Here are the options. Option 1.
I've got some ideas, you want to go through them?
Option 2.
Would you let me help you find a therapist? I know someone who is really good.
Option 3.
Tell him you are a terrific listener, encourage him to share his thoughts and feelings.
Tell him you are a terrific listener. Encourage him to share his thoughts and feelings.
You have been listening for almost an hour now. He has been needing to talk for a long time. Among the things you learn, he believes his wife left him because he isn't worthy of her. He loves her and does not blame her. His self-esteem is at rock bottom and feels a burden to everyone in his life. He's been thinking about suicide, the remedy, for a few weeks. His depression is crushing and has been relying on alcohol to numb the pain. He hasn't considered seeing a therapist as he feels no one can help. He hasn't slept well in weeks, and hardly at all for 2 days. After the storm, comes the calm. 90 minutes later, he begins to pull himself together. He takes a deep breath and stops talking. He eventually smiles and says he feels much better now. You offer to call a therapist you know that had helped a friend in a similar situation. Most importantly, he nods and asks you to make the call. He isn't convinced a stranger can help, but he is willing to give it a try. He then says, thanks for listening. I didn't think anyone would understand. Thank you. Time for hugs all around.
Here are the options. Option 1.
Wrap.
Like, wrap it up.
Nice job. As you learn more details, you find out your uncle planned this family gathering to be his last time to see and say goodbye to everyone. He tried writing a note to explain why he was going to take his life, but found it too difficult. So instead, he decided to drink several shots of whiskey and then show up late to say his goodbyes. But with his approval, you were able to rally his older brothers to create a circle of safety around him. One brother had him move into a spare bedroom until he could get back on his feet, and his sister went to work on his finances and threats to his housing. Despite his reservations, the counselor proved to be very helpful. In the end, your uncle never became homeless. When the economy improved, he found a good job, one he enjoyed more than the one he had lost. His life once again became full and merry. For even more reasons than before, you are his favorite relative. Well done.
Anybody else find that really hard to like decide which things to say in the different? Ugh. Yeah. Social cues, social IQ.
Things to remember. This section will take only a few minutes. Once you have finished this section, you will complete a post-training survey and take a brief quiz to earn a printable certificate of course completion. Some quiz items come from this section of the course.
Okay.
You may be the only person in a position to recognize the warning signs that someone you know is suicidal. Research shows that when suicide warning signs are evident, we feel anxious, fearful, and immobilized. For effective QPR, you must overcome this fear and act quickly. In at least 90% of people, suicidal thoughts and feelings arise from disturbances in brain chemistry. Clinical depression is a major risk factor for suicide. Any sudden cheerfulness in someone who has been seriously depressed may mean that they have decided to die by suicide. If in doubt, if concerned, apply QPR. Alcohol and other drug use impairs thinking and judgment and increases impulsivity and suicide risk. Remember, for a suicidal person, there is no safety without sobriety. Instill hope with active listening. Make suicide difficult by removing the means to suicide. If a person refuses help, seek consultation professionals. Dial or text 988 or use online chat services.
Post-training survey. How would you rate your knowledge of suicide in the following areas? I'll say high because we just took the course. How would you rate your knowledge of suicide in the following areas? I'll say high because we just took the course. Don't know if this is part of the certificate. All right. How would you rate your knowledge? No. This section contains a list of statements of what you may think or believe about suicide prevention. Please read each statement and use the rating scale to indicate the degree to which you agree or disagree. Well, based on that we just took the course. If someone told me they were thinking of suicide, I would intervene, strongly agree. If a person's words and or behavior suggest the possibility of suicide, I would ask the person directly, strongly agree. If someone I knew was showing signs of suicide, I would directly raise the question of suicide with them, strongly agree. This section contains a list of statements of what you may think or believe about suicide prevention. Please read each statement and use the rating scale to indicate the degree to which you agree or disagree. I don't feel competent to help a person at risk of suicide. I just took the course, so strongly disagree. I don't think I can prevent it. Strongly disagree. I feel confident in my ability to help. Strongly agree. Safe. Survey complete. Thank you for completing this survey. Okay. And then what?
For the duration of this quiz, the next and back buttons and the arrow keys will be disabled. Press your spacebar to replay the question. Press enter to submit your answer.
I'm getting tired.
Question 1.
It's been
Around the world, approximately how many lives are lost to suicide each year? Choose one of these four answers.
Over 800,000.
100.
Submit.
Question 2. The leading risk factor for suicide is which of these four factors? 1. Untreated major depressive disorder, a medical illness. 2. Acute and severe stress. 3.
It's the depression.
Rejection by a loved one.
Submit. It's depression.
Question 3. If you intercept a suspected suicidal communication, clue, suspicious statement, or threat, which of the following questions should be avoided? There are four possible questions here. 1. You're not thinking of killing yourself, are you? 2. Are you thinking about suicide? 3.
It's that
are you
you're
feeling
not
so
thinking
bad
of killing
you'd like
yourself,
to go to
are
sleep?
you?
And
Not that
question
one.
4. The most commonly identified psychological state of those who take their own lives has been found to be which of these five answers? 1. Hallucinations. 2. Humiliation. 3.
Hopelessness.
Hopelessness. Question 5. Choose one of the four answers. Asking a distressed person if he or she is having thoughts of death or suicide. 1. Should never be done as it may put the idea of suicide in the person's mind. 2. Should only be done by professionally trained persons. 3. May lower the risk of suicide. 4. Should have no effect on the risk for suicide.
It should have no effect.
Question 6. As an effective QPR gatekeeper, I need to do which of these four things? 1. Be able to recognize the warning signs of suicide. 2. Understand what causes most people to become suicidal. 3. Know how to speak frankly about suicide.
All of
4.
the above.
All of the above. Question 7. People who talk about suicide are only talking and should be ignored, as people who talk about suicide don't do it.
False.
True or false? Question 8. Since persons in an acute suicidal crisis often feel bad and cannot sleep, 3 to 5 ounces of an alcoholic drink is recommended.
False.
Question 9. One suicide warning sign may not mean anything and can be safely ignored. However, when 3 or more suicide warning signs are noted, QPR should be applied as soon as possible. True or false? Question 10. Which of the following four statements is most true? 1. Removal of the means of suicide is an important suicide prevention measure. 2. Suicide prevention is best left to the experts. 3. Only doctors should discuss suicide with people who may be thinking about ending their own lives. 4. Drugs and alcohol play only a minor role in suicidal behavior.
Removal of the means of suicide is an important suicide prevention measure.
Question 11. Which of the following four answers is not a possible warning sign of suicide?
Spending
1.
lots of money
Giving
one
away
does not
prized
have.
possessions. Question 12. When talking with someone who has suicidal thoughts and feelings, it is strongly recommended that you be sure to do which of the following four things? 1. Listen carefully to the problem or problems that suicide would solve.
That's the answer.
2. Tell the Question 13. You were talking to a friend or family member who has been having a lot of personal problems lately and seems to be overwhelmed and hopeless. They say they can't sleep and can't stop feeling blue. During your conversation, the person sighs and says, I just can't go on anymore. Life isn't worth living.
You'd say what?
The best thing to say is
You
which
just
of these
said
four
frightens
answers?
me. Are you thinking
1.
about suicide?
Question 14. Someone you know admits that they have been thinking about suicide. To persuade them to get help, the very first thing to do is which of these four things? 1. Tell them you care about them, but that suicide is a totally acceptable
Encourage
choice.
them to talk, not
2.
pass judgment,
Tell them
and
that
listen
if they don't
carefully
get
to the
help right
problems
away, you will
suicide
call
would
the
solve.
Question 15. Choose from one of the four answers when referring someone suicidal for professional help. The best outcome is to take the person to someone who can help. Make sure the person is aware
That's
of the crisis
best
hotline's number.
option. Oh, my score was a 93.33%.
To 300,000.
Correct.
3, 4.
Correct.
Wake up.
Correct.
4.
Correct. Oh, wait, go back. So that was when I got wrong. Okay, so little thing about tests. Studies show that when your very first gut reaction is statistically the correct answer. And I questioned myself and I didn't, and it was wrong. Asking a distressed person if he or she is having thoughts of death or suicide may lower the risk of suicide. And I selected should have no effect on the risk for suicide. I think I might have also read that wrong. That was the one I had wrong. All the others
True.
so far.
2. And in no things. 9.
That was the only one I got wrong. Quiz. Nice work. Thank you. Next. Whew. From what I just learned, I know someone who may need help and I intend to reach out to them now. No, not right now. From what I just learned, I had decided to seek help for myself from the resources provided in this program. No, because I don't need anything right now. I have lost someone to suicide who was close to me, and I intend to learn more about the resources provided in this training. Yes. During this training session, I used the need help button and got help for myself or someone that I know. No. Save. Thank you for your time. Your input is valuable. How well did this training program meet its objectives? Excellent. How would you rate the multimedia presentation? Excellent. My overall evaluation of this training is excellent. Do you believe this training will help you in helping someone? Yes, I learned a lot. I plan on downloading the free ebook, Suicide, the Forever Decision by Paul Quinnett, PhD, for myself, or sending it to a friend. Yes. Would you recommend QPR training to others? Yes, I'm recommending it to everybody. Comments, optional. Survey complete. Okay, next. Next. Download the ebook. Downloading it. Got it. Oh, I'm going to have to make sure I edit that. Okay.
Great job for completing the Gatekeeper certification course. Click the button to download your certificate of course completion.
That. Download. Did it download? Oh, here we go. Woohoo! I have a certificate. I met all the requirements of the 1-hour course of the QPR Gatekeeper training online. Very cool.
From this screen, you can download the
I'll
QPR
download the
booklet and card.
I'll
Click the links to
download
download the booklet
card.
or download the card. See
Got
the
it.
next screen for more QPR. Here's a list of additional resources.
Oh, they have advanced QPR courses. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm tired. But I'm going to keep this, well, let's see. Special groups at risk for suicide: substance abuse, successful people, older adults, youth, they have an advanced course. What's this advanced course? So in the advanced course portion, it asks you to put what is your profession, and I put veterinarian. I'm not a veterinarian, but that's the closest for someone who works in the animal sector. And it says veterinarians, and I think this applies to all people in the animal sector, not just veterinarians, but it says veterinarians often have contact with people at risk of suicide. Vets also have one of the highest rates of suicide of any profession. Our aim in this training program is to prepare vets to recognize and respond to colleagues who may be entering suicide crisis, and to recognize and respond to customers who are or may become at risk of suicide. We have surveyed vets for their exposure to suicide and how well prepared they feel to deal with effectively with those at risk, whether a coworker in the office or a customer who is sending suicide warning signs. For example, a farmer asking you to put down his perfectly healthy dog because she can't go where I'm headed. The American Veteran Medical Association already makes, I think they meant veterinarian, as a typo. The American Veterinarian Medical Association already makes basic QPR training available free through their website. This advanced course expands your role in providing emotional first aid and support to anyone you identify to be at risk of suicide. Recommend course. We recommend the QPR Pro Gatekeeper Training Program, which is 3 to 4 hours, meets Washington state requirements for suicide prevention training. Explore course. I'm curious about that. Oh, it's $99. Okay. At this time, I'm trying to do as many free courses as I can. And ChatGPT said that there were other courses. So I'm going to explore other courses and I will share them with you.
Congratulations, you've completed the course.
Exit. Very cool. All right. Let's close this. Let's close that. And this is Amanda with Make Alaska signing off. Someday I'll figure out how to not have this screen up. If you know how to, you can always comment, and have a great day. And I hope you all have a great day as well. This was a pretty depressing but very valuable information. And please excuse my flippancy. I deal with dark things using humor. I'm one of those people who laugh at inappropriate times, and then people will look at me like I'm a total jerk. But I swear, I can't help it. It's just a coping mechanism. I'm not the only one, and weird people need love too. So do you. I love you. Bye.